Hello guys, welcome to Die.io. My name is David, lead mentor at Die.io. So today we're going to be looking at a tool called Ansible, and we're going to see how to connect to a Bastion host from our Visual Studio Code. Now before we begin, let's take a quick understanding about Ansible. What is Ansible itself? Now Ansible is an automation engine that is used to automate different IT tasks such as configuration management, cloud provisioning, intra-service orchestration, and so much more. Now let's visit ansible.com to see a more interesting definition. Yeah, so I'm going to be using this definition by Red Hat. Ansible is an open source tool that has been sponsored by Red Hat platform. So let's check out their definition. Ansible is a radically simple IT automation engine that automates cloud provisioning, configuration management, application deployment, intra-service orchestration, and many other IT needs. It's a very simple but powerful tool. Yes, so you can. I'm going to include the link to this set in the description below, so you can come and have a good read. You can download the white paper and see what you have for yourself. Good. But in this video, apart from us looking at the Bastion host, we also want to look at configuration management. What is actually configuration management? Still relying on our Red Hat documentation. Let's check the meaning of configuration management. Now, configuration management is a process for maintaining computer systems, servers, and software in a desired consistent state. It is a way to make sure that the system performs as expected to as changes are made over time. Now that's a lot. What does configuration management looks like in the real life? How does it happen? Let's go over to Die.io. Let's look at one of the projects there that give us a real use case of what configuration management is. So let's go over to Die.io. So these are the projects here. I'm going to like project 11. Yeah, let's click on project 11. Project 11 talks about Ansible. So let's click on go to project. Yeah, click on go to project. So click on access project. So you can see that the title for the project is Ansible Configuration Management, which means automating project 7 to project 10. Yeah, so I'm going to give you a quick overview of what we did from project 7 to project 10. In project 7, we created 3 web servers and we deployed the 2 applications. Yeah, the 3 web servers used the network file system as a storage, which we call NFS server. In project 8, we added an Apache load balancer in front of the 3 web servers. In project 9, we included Jenkins. And in project 10, we added Nginx as a load balancer. All these we did manually. Yeah, we had to go to each of the servers and install our servers, our Apache or Nginx. We have to install them manually. Yes, we have to apply all our configurations manually. Now that is where Ansible configuration management comes in. We don't have to go through the pain and the stress of doing this individually. We can come to the Ansible configuration management tool and deploy everything at once. Let's see a diagram that gives us a better understanding. So you can see in this project, project 11 at Die.io, let's look at this diagram. We have the client, we have the internet, we have your Bastion host, and we have 2 web servers. So this is a good real use case for Ansible configuration management. So we're going to be configuring and managing these web servers from the Bastion host. So if you can look at the diagram properly, you can see that these web servers and these target nodes are not accessible over the internet. Yeah, you can only access these web servers right from the Bastion host. The Bastion host in your infrastructure is like an entry point to entire infrastructure. It is the only server facing the public internet. So it is on this Ansible host we get to install. It's on this Bastion host we get to install our Ansible. Yeah, it's on this Bastion we get to install our Ansible. So it's from this Bastion host we get to push in all our configurations and we get to perform our Ansible configuration management. So now let's take a further look on our definition. There's an aspect that talks about SSH keys as your friends. Now, one key thing you need to know about Ansible is it connects over to its target node via the SSH protocol. So when you tell Ansible to install, let's say for instance, Apache, it connects over the SSH protocol to the target nodes and install the Apache. Another key feature that makes Ansible interesting and more popular than all other configuration management tool or automation tools is because Ansible is agentless. Now, what do I mean by that? You don't have to visit your target nodes and install Ansible individually. The requirement you need on these target nodes is just Python. And lucky for us, by default, in our Linux instance or our Linux OS, Ubuntu, Red Hat, like has Python installed by default, and that makes the job easier. So Ansible is agentless and makes the job more smooth and easy to use. So now let's go back to our AWS console. Let's create this kind of infrastructure and do some configuration management. So I have my AWS console over here. Good. So let's click on launch instance. Let's launch some instance. I'm going to click select. I'm going to use the Red Hat for this particular demo. You can use Ubuntu as you prefer, but make sure that you are in the free tier. You are choosing the free tier instances, so you don't get to incur any cost for this demo. Yes, so I'm going to select the free tier, which is at T2 Micro. I'm going to configure an instance. Let us spin up 2 instances, one for master and one for node. Yes, let's see the storage. Yeah, 10 SSD, 10 general purpose SSD is okay for us. 10 gigabytes general purpose SSD is okay for our demo. I'm going to leave the tags for now. We're going to name our resources properly when they are launched. Now, the security group, one of the key aspects in AWS console you need to know. So by the time you take advanced AWS courses or course as the case may be, you get to understand how to design good security groups. Yes. So for now, in this demo, what I'm going to do is I have a pre-configured security groups already. I'm going to use for this. Yeah. So it's opening all the traffic to the world. Yeah. So I'm saying all traffic, SSH, HTTP, TCP, name it. I'm opening all traffic, all protocols, all ports from any source. Although this is not good practice. Yes. So normally you want to restrict access only to the necessary IPs that need to connect on the necessary port using the necessary protocol. Yes. So I'm going to leave that for now. So let's review what we have done. Okay. So now you can see that we have a warning that improves your instance security, so on and so forth. So I'm going to leave that for now. I'm going to launch. Now I have a key pair residing on my own local machine, which is the NDevOps. I'm going to select that key pair. So I assume that you have your own key pair also too. So let's launch instance. Yeah, our instances are launching. So while our instances are launching, so first I'm going to connect from my own terminal. Yes, and see what it looks like to connect from the terminal. So we're going to be using the concept of SSH Agent. Now, SSH Agent is where you don't have to place your private keys in your instances because you need to connect to other instances. So what you're going to do, you're going to run the command eval SSH Agent. So I'm going to also include in the description box where a link for you to read more about SSH Agent. So you need to read about this concept and understand it better. So I'm going to say eval SSH Agents. When you click on this, it starts the SSH Agent for you. So you click on it. So I've started mine already. So I don't want to start it again. So I'm going to say eval SSH Agent. So once you run that command, you're going to get an agent PID stuff. So after that, the next command you want to run is SSH add -k. Now I'm in the downloads folder. This is where my PEM key is residing. Yes, so I'm going to say SSH add -k ndevops.pem. So I'm going to add my key. You can see identity added. So I do SSH add -l. Okay, sorry, SSH add -l. So you can see that I have this key already running added to my keychain. Yeah, we call it keychain. So let's go over and check our instances. They should be installed by now. Yeah, they should be running. Pardon me. Okay, so let's go to instances running. So we have two instances running. So we're going to name one Ansible master, we're going to name one the Ansible node. So the Ansible master is regarded as a Bastion. Remember, we're going to install our Ansible on the Bastion host. But for identity's sake, I'll name it Ansible master. Yes. So now I'm going to name this one Ansible node. So don't forget that we're going to manage more than one node. So I'm going to name this Ansible node 1. I can name this Ansible node 1. Okay, so it's still initializing. Let's get initialized. Okay, so let's refresh our screen. Good. So you get a status check 2/2. So now let's connect to our Ansible master. I'm going to grab the public IP address of this. Let's get this. So we are connecting via SSH agent. So we're not going to be using the normal command SSH EC2 user relax. So we're going to run this command SSH -a EC2 user at. So what will happen is SSH, because we are connecting via SSH agent, SSH will automatically pick up the necessary or the right private key for this instance in our key chain. Don't forget, we already add the PEM key to our key chain. So when you log into this instance, it will pick up that key into this instance. Let's see what I'm saying. So SSH-A EC2 user. Let's connect. Yes. So now good, we are connected. So if you run this command, now we are inside the instance already, the Ansible master. But remember that Ansible relies on SSH key pairs. And when we created our instance in AWS, a key has been attached, which is called endeavors pair. So if I want to connect to this instance from this instance here, Ansible master must have the private key on the machine. But it is not good practice to copy over our private key on the cloud. So that's why we are using the concept of SSH agent. So let's go back to our instance. So I'm going to command SSH add -l. So you can see now that we now have our instance here with a private key and DevOps of PEM. So this is a temporary connection. After some times, SSH agent takes away this key. So it is a good practice, it is safe and it's secure. We have it here, but it's not actually residing on this instance. So with this concept, you can easily connect to any of our instance that has this key attached to them. So now let's test that. So let's see now. So what I do is before I run any Ansible commands, I try to ensure that the Ansible master or the Bastion host, whichever name you call it, can successfully SSH into our target nodes. So this is Ansible node. So I'm going to copy the private IP. Let's call this now. Let's say SSH. Now I'm going to SSH effortlessly into this. Yeah, it's C2 user at. Let's put the private IP. Yes, good. Now we can connect. So you can see that we have moved from 242 to 166. So before I run playbooks or Ansible commands, I always like to ensure that SSH, Ansible master or the Bastion host can SSH into our target nodes, which makes the job more easier. So we don't have errors when we are running our playbook. So this looks good. We have page can connect. I'm going to exit. Now I'm back to the master. Yeah, good. So I'm going to clear my screen. Now let us install Ansible. So if I do sudo yum install Ansible, am I correct with my spellings? Good. Yes. So let's click enter. I just want to show you that by default, in the Red Hat default repository, Ansible is not made available. You can see, say this system is not registered to Red Hat subscription management. which means that we are not a paid user, right? So let's see if we can install Ansible. So no match for argument Ansible and another error. So by default, on your default repository, we don't have Ansible installed that repository. So there's a way around it. What we can do is install a third-party repository and open source also too. So from there, we can now install our Ansible. So I have that in my notepad somewhere. I stored that somewhere. So all these I'm going to include in the description box so you can have access to them. So I'm going to copy this too. So I'm going to be installing the EPL repository and the REMI repository. So I'm going to change to a sudo user. Okay, I have this now. So I'm going to install. So let's give it some couple of minutes. It's going to install. Okay, now Ansible is installed. Okay, our repository has been installed. So let's exit. Okay, so let's install Ansible again. Yes, install Ansible. Yes, install Ansible. Good, Ansible is installed. So if I run this command, Ansible -- version, so we get our Ansible installed and working perfectly. So you can see we also have Python also to install. Good. So now, if you have taken the Ansible course, you have gotten used to some terms and some link of a file like inventory, roles, Ansible config file, and the likes. So actually, inventory is where we store the IP addresses of our target nodes, where Ansible is going to go in and perform those commands. So I'm going to say vi inventory. Yeah, I'm going to name that file inventory. Good. So let's just create a group of servers called tests. So I'm going to say test. Let's go into the insert mode. Yeah, take me to the insert mode. So I'm going to say tests. I'm going to say test. Yeah. Good. Yes. Good. So let's come here and get the private IP of our Ansible node. This is where we plan that Ansible is going to come and install all our commands. So I'm going to grab this. Yes, go back to this place. I'm going to paste it now. Escape. Exactly. So now we have it installed. Okay. So actually, I wanted to put that in a directory called Ansible. So let's make directory called Ansible. Good. So good. So I'm going to move. Let's change directory to Ansible. Yes. Let's change directory to Ansible. Good. So I'm going to say so now I've made directory Ansible and I've changed directory to the Ansible. Actually, I wanted my inventory file to be in this Ansible directory. So I could go ahead and copy the file over to this place. So we just create another one. So just to make it faster, I'm just going to create another one here. Okay, via inventory. No, my spelling is wrong. So I just want everything to be in a particular folder. So what I did earlier, I'm going to do it again. Insert mode. So I'm going to say test. Good. So let's get our private IP address again of our servers. I'm going to copy it and paste it there. Good. So we're going to escape and save. As my system is baby. Okay, right, I'm safe. Got it fixed. Good. So now let's run our first Ansible commands to see that all is working very well. So I'm going to say Ansible. I'm going to say Ansible dash hi. I'm going to specify the inventory where I want the command to run. I'm going to call the module ping. I'm going to say ping the test web server. Okay, so let's see. So we should receive a success message. That is awesome. Now we have received a success message, which means that our Bastion host can successfully talk to the to the target node. Now, if you notice that when we are using terminal, we have to use the editor to open a file, close the editor, come back to the terminal. That is not really fun. So that's we are going to use the Visual Studio Code. So if you come to the Visual Studio Code, the Visual Studio Code gives us the environment and the ability to have a terminal at the same time a text editor. You understand? So you're going to give us ability to have a terminal and a text editor at the same time, so which makes the work more easier. But before you connect your Visual Studio Code, or before you connect your Bastion Visual Studio Code, you also have to make sure that the SSH agent is started on this terminal. So I want to do this command also to SSH dash L. So yes, I want to ensure that this is what this has been added already. This DevOps key and DevOps.pen key has been added to the key chain. So if you don't have this output, yes, as you remember, you run this command first, eval SSH agent, yes, to start the SSH agent process. Then after that, if you enter, you should receive no error. You should now run SSH dash K, then the name of your key, then you click enter. Right, so I'm connected. Now, if you notice, I have other parameters specified under my connection profile for the Bastion host. So this is just the host name, the user, and the identity file. So we are going to be using the parameter called forward agent. We're going to be using the control part for our SSH agent. All these parameters are to support the SSH agent and SSH multiplexing. So I'm also going to include the link to where you can read more about this in the description box below. So now let's go ahead and connect to our instance. So I'm going to say connect to the host, connect to hosts, connect to Bastion host. So I'm connected to the Bastion. I'm connected to the Bastion now. Okay. Connected to the Bastion host. Okay. Okay, you're having an error. Okay, close remotes host. So let's see. Okay, I need to change the host name to this. So let's go over and grab the public DNS name for our instance for the Bastion host now. So I'm going to change back to Ansible master. So I'm going to click on this, get it copied. So let's come back to this place. Let's paste it here. So my Visual Studio Code software have been placed on auto save, so it automatically save every of the changes I made. So I'm going to click, I'm going to click on this, connect to host, and to Bastion host. Okay, so it's connecting. So it's asking me that I want to continue. Yes, of course, I want to continue. Okay, it's connecting. You can see opening remote. So I'm going to enlarge this file. Yeah, I don't want to update now. Good, we are connected. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open the folder, the Ansible folder I created. Yes, I can see the Ansible folder. Okay, connect. and we are in. Now, just to confirm again that we can connect, so let's run the command SSH add -l. Here, as you can see, we still have our key added to the chain, which makes the job more easier. So if I run SSH, okay, if I say SSH EC2 user at our test IP address, so I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste this. Good, we are in again 1666. So I'm going to say exit. I don't want to show that what we did on the terminal is also possible also too. Yes, so I want to say Ansible. I'm going to specify the inventory that we are in. So I'm going to call the module ping. I'm going to say you ping the test. Okay, that's not correct. So yeah, so you can see success. So more reason why I like the Visual Studio Code is you can see I have my folder open up over here, a text editor, and I have the terminal here, so I can make changes and run the Ansible command right on the terminal. So I don't have to open the text editor, close it, and come back to the terminal. So it makes it more easy. Now let's run some Ansible job again. So the first I'm going to do is I'm not going to call this test anymore. I'm going to call this rel, because this one I'm connecting to is red at instance. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder called Playbooks. Now Playbooks is where you store the commands. Yeah, we call it commands, or the task you want to run on your Ansible targets node. So I'm going to call this Playbooks. Yeah, so within the Playbooks folder, so I'm going to create a file called site.yaml. Site.yaml. Good. So don't forget that Ansible commands are written in YAML format. Simple to understand, easy to read, and easy to learn. Good. So I'm going to place them in the playbook. So now I have a simple Ansible playbook I have written over here. So this video will be very too long if I start writing them right on this video. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of what the playbook is going to be doing. Good. So I'm going to copy this. Yes. So I'm going to place it. So another thing you're going to enjoy in the Visual Studio Code is that you have a good syntax. You can get a good view of your YAML file. You can see well arranged and well formatted. So as you all know, Ansible commands start with these three ellipses here. So name, I say testing rel, come true. That means it's going to become a pseudo user, and our host is going to be rel. So as I said, our playbook consists or comprises of tasks. Tasks are the set of commands and a set of operations that will happen on the Ansible target nodes. So it's going to install HTTPD on the server. It's going to install HTTP on the server. It's going to start and enable the server. You see, then after that, it's going to install PHP and all its dependencies. Then after that, I'm asking it to replace the default, the index.html with my own HTML folder. So you can see html.j2. So I'm going to also create a folder called html.j2. So I'm going to call html.j2. So we call this a Ginger file. It is used for templating. So we're not going to talk much about that also too. So I have a small template here that I want to use for this Ansible test. So I'm going to copy this. Yes, so we have that copied. Kind of paste it. Good. So now we are okay to run this command. So yes, we have our inventory folder. We have a set of tasks we want to run, and we have a template folder that our task is going to be copying. So now let's see how we're going to run our playbook. So now I'm going to say Ansible playbook. Yes, I'm going to specify the inventory file. Specify the inventory. Yes, I'm going to say I'm running again the test command. So just specify your inventory. So that's dash inventory. So you need to specify where your playbooks reside, site.yml. Good. So now let's test. Click on enter. Good. So you're not having error. You can see installing HTTPD. So it's a very small playbook. So this should take just some few minutes from us. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So changed. Installing PHP. Also, so everything worked out fine. So now, without us going to our target nodes and do anything, we have configured everything from the Bastion Host Ansible master. So all I'll just do is grab the public IP of my target node of my web server and visit the web page I've created right from the Ansible playbook. So I'm going to grab the public IP, just go here and paste it, paste and go. Good. We have our website up and running. So Dai.io is a fast-growing social learning and mentorship platform where you can implement enterprise-level DevOps projects for learning and accessing amazing mentors. Our internship system endorses tenacity, intelligence, and appetite to learn and be mentored. We understand the demands to build an ecosystem where individuals can grow capacity to learn DevOps. This further prompted the need to design a system geared towards equipping students with real-life projects and skills that will enable them to compete favorably in the real world. So that is the information on our website. I hope you like the information. I hope you broadcast that high with your friends. So now we have our site running, up and running. So now let's do something more fun. Let's add another instance or another target web server to our inventory. This time around, I'm going to add Ubuntu. I'm going to use webpack. So I'm going to create another group called Ubuntu. I'm going to say Ubuntu. So let's go ahead and create an instance called Ubuntu. Go back to my AWS console, launch instance. I'll make sure I'm on the free tier. You get, it's going to select the free tier. Good. So configure instance here. I'm going to need only one instance. I'm going to leave the storage 8 gig general purpose SSD. Yeah. So I'm going to name this. Let me add a tag this time around. I'm going to name this Ansible Node 2. You know, we have one already. Oh, did I take that away? Then change this to 2. So don't forget, I have a configured security group already. So I'm going to use that. Okay, so let's go to review and let's go to launch. Select the right PEM key so I can have access to the instance. So I'm launching the instance right now. Okay, so let's go to view instances. So I'm going to go to our EC2 dashboard. So the instance is yet to properly come up. So let's give it some minutes. So when the instance is up, you know, we have 2 instances running before. So it should change to 3. Let's click on instances running. Oh, so the instance is not up yet. So let's refresh. Okay, good. Ansible Node 2 up and running. So let's get the private IP. I'm going to place it under Ubuntu. Good. Yeah, paste it that. So now don't forget, let's come up to our site.yml. So you can see that the Visual Studio Code editor is very, very simple and beautiful to use. I can edit at the same time, have my terminal, everything work out fine. Good. So now don't forget that we have some set of tasks for our Red Hat instance. But don't forget that the command to install on Red Hat is here from Ubuntu. So for Ubuntu, it's going to be Ansible built-in.hat. You understand? So we can use the same set of tasks for this. So God, no worries, I got that covered. So let's get this also too. Testing is basically the same thing, yes, but some commands needs to change on that. So I'm going to come right down here and paste this, so you can see. So you can see that we are installing Apache now, not HTTPD. On Ubuntu, Apache is refers to Apache 2, but on Red Hat is referred to as HTTPD. Yes, and oh no, my bad. So on the Ubuntu, you don't get to use the yum command to install. You use the apt command to install. Use the apt command to install. So I'm going to change that to apt. Yeah, okay. I hope I'm on the right side. Okay. So testing Ubuntu. So of course we can't use the yum command. So I'm going to change that to apt. Yeah, so I think that's all I need to change. So that's been saved. So now let's run our commands. Let's run our playbook again. This time around now, our inventory now has 2 instances. Yes, the rel and the Ubuntu. Okay, so let's run the playbook again. So there's one beautiful thing about Ansible. It has this idempotent nature. What I mean by that is that if you are trying to run the same set of commands on an instance, and that has been done before, it doesn't get to do that again. So you just say, okay, it doesn't change it. He said, okay, you can see, okay. So for our first instance, it worked out well. So you can see that it doesn't try to reinstall what has installed it initially. So just tell that this has been what this requirement has been fulfilled. But when it tries to connect to our second instance, it returns an error. Permanently added, okay, permission denied. So why this is happening is because now it's a little bit tricky. For our Ubuntu instance, we need to specify the user, right? Because when we are connecting to the Red Hat instance, they were the same user, so it easily connects to each other. But if I come to this place, if I say Ansible, if I say SSH, now I'm connected to Ubuntu, I have to specify the user, Ubuntu at, you can see that we can SSH into it. Copy. Yeah, okay, let me clear my screen so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, paste. So you can see we can SSH, but why can't Ansible talk to it? So now let's get that fixed. So we can consider when we are trying to SSH, we specify the user we are SSHing with, if that is correct. So to fix that, you just specify Ansible underscore SSH underscore user. Yes, I'm going to say that equals to Ubuntu. Yes, that equals to Ubuntu. So Ansible now know which user to connect with to this. So let's say, so let's run our playbook again. Okay. Now we have access to the second instance. Good. Now to confirm that our change has taken effect, this is Ansible node 2. Let's get the public IP. Yes. Now let's paste it and go. And wow, we have it. That.io, a fast-growing social learning and mentorship platform. So we have been able to run our Ansible playbook on both of our instances. Yes, and we have been able to come up with a simple site.yml with some simple tasks to install on our servers. Yes. Now another thing about Ansible is, if you notice, when we are running our playbook, we have to specify the inventory all the time. So if you want to take away these steps and you don't want to specify the inventory all the time, you can create what we call the Ansible config file. So by default, the Ansible config file, the Ansible rules, the inventory are located in /etc//Ansible. You get all these files there, or for easy access, we can actually place them in this place. So I have a simple Ansible.cfg file created over here. Okay. have some simple Ansible CFG file created over here. So I'm going to create this. I'm going to paste it here. Good. So we have it here. So in the default section of the Ansible.cfg, I'm going to specify that my inventory by default is in /o/ec2/user/ec2user/Ansible/inventory. You specify your SSH connection and other default parameters I want to specify. So by the time you check /etc/ansible.rules, you get to read more about this and understand what it's doing. So if I change to /etc/ansible, yes, so you can see. So if I cat ansible.cfg, so you can see you have a lot of parameters you can specify. A lot of parameters you can specify, and you can read about it and know what to do with all these things. You see, so of course we don't need that for this demo. So I just want to show you that they are existing. Good. So I'm going to change RG back to Ansible folder, clear my screen. Now let us run the playbook again without specifying the inventory. So I'm going to say, okay. So I'm just using the up arrow key to bring up my previous command. So I'm going to remove this. So I'm going to say Ansible playbook. Yes, that's side of TML, and it should work. So you can see it's working. So we will automatically pick up our Ansible inventory. So that will be all for this tutorial. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. And I hope you are able to learn one or two things. Join us at Dai.io. Here at Dai.io, we become a DevOps expert by going through projects. We have 30 projects, 30 hands-on projects that you're going to implement. And we believe that in 6 months, you can move from 0 to 0. We hope to see you around. Enjoy.